So, have you ever looked down at your dinner plate and wondered, could the food right in front of you literally be acting like a light switch for chronic disease? I mean, could the very protein you're eating to build muscle actually be flipping on hidden ailments inside your body? It sounds crazy, right? But that is exactly the highly debated question we are investigating today.
Welcome to This Explainer. I'm so glad you're joining us because today we are unpacking the incredibly complex and sometimes controversial science of nutrition. We're going to dive deep into decades of research on dietary proteins, looking at both plant and animal sources, and figure out how they uniquely interact with our biology, for better or for worse.
Okay, let's jump right in. Here's our roadmap for This Explainer. First, the China Study Project. Second, casein and chronic disease. Third, plant versus animal protein. Fourth, principles of holistic nutrition. And finally, vegan diets, risks and rewards.
Starting with Section 1, the China Study Project. Way back in May of 1990, the New York Times actually dubbed this project the Grand Prix of Epidemiology. And really, that wasn't an exaggeration. This was an absolutely unprecedented partnership in the early 80s between Cornell University, Oxford, and China's Academy of Preventive Medicine. Led by Dr. T. Colin Campbell and his team, this project had immense scale and credibility. Their goal? To meticulously compare the health consequences of plant-based diets directly against animal-based diets. Just to give you an idea of the sheer scale here, over a 10-year period, these researchers literally embedded themselves in 65 rural Chinese counties. They surveyed 6,500 adults split perfectly down the middle, half men, half women, and gathered data on a staggering 367 variables. They tracked death rates across 48 different forms of cancer and disease, and what made this so incredibly valuable was that they were studying populations with very similar genetics but vastly different regional diets. It allowed them to isolate the true impact of nutrition on disease mortality in a way that just hadn't been done before.
Moving on to Section 2, casein and chronic disease.
Through all this massive research, a prime suspect emerged, and it's a protein called casein. Now, casein is a white, tasteless, odorless protein extracted from cow's milk. If you've ever made cheese, you know casein as the heavy curd that sinks to the bottom, leaving the watery whey behind. But it's not just sitting in fancy cheeses. It's hiding everywhere. You'll find it in everyday yogurt, your favorite protein bars, and ironically, even in deceivingly marketed soy cheese alternatives. To put that into perspective, in standard cow's milk, casein makes up a massive 85% of the total protein. But here is the real kicker. What Dr. Campbell discovered in animal studies was absolutely startling. Researchers found that they could literally turn cancer growth on and off, just like flipping a light switch, simply by altering the levels of casein in the animals' diets. And when they fed the animals the exact same levels of plant-based protein, that cancer growth just didn't happen. No switch was flipped. Which brings us to Section 3, plant versus animal protein. So traditionally, animal protein has been widely considered high quality, right? Because, well, it promotes really rapid animal growth. But when it comes to long-term human health, Dr. Campbell rates its value near zero. He argues it actually triggers cholesterol synthesis and rapid, dangerous cell division. Plant proteins, on the flip side, simply don't trigger those same biological risks. Plus, contrary to that old popular myth, eating a varied plant diet easily provides every single essential amino acid your body actually needs. To really grasp the depths of this perspective, consider Dr. Campbell's stance on global health classifications. We know the World Health Organization currently classifies processed meats as carcinogenic. Well, Dr. Campbell argues that based on cellular mechanics, all animal proteins, and yes, that includes your lean chicken breast, eggs, and dairy, operate similarly and should be classified right alongside those carcinogenic meats. Now, we are purely reporting his view impartially here, but it definitely highlights a massive ongoing debate in nutritional science about how we classify healthy versus unhealthy foods. Let's shift gears to Section 4, principles of holistic nutrition. A huge problem in modern nutrition today is what's known as the reductionist view. This is when we focus entirely on one isolated nutrient. Like ripping a protein isolate out of a plant to make a frozen veggie burger, or just popping a vitamin pill to target one specific disease mechanism. Dr. Campbell strongly warns against this. He advocates for a holistic view. Our bodies evolved to get maximum benefit from the infinitely complex biochemical network found in whole foods, exactly as they appear in nature. You simply can't out-supplement a poor diet with synthesized pills. The whole really is infinitely greater than the sum of its parts. From this holistic viewpoint, a really fascinating narrative emerges. Your genes don't act alone. Your diet is the environment that actually dictates which genes get expressed. Whole food nutrition acts like a shield. It controls whether noxious, harmful chemicals actually do their damage over time. It can even halt or reverse diseases in their later stages. Ultimately, it's all one interconnected system, meaning a diet that heals one specific ailment is also actively supporting your overall health across the board.
Finally, Section 5, Vegan Diets, Risks and Rewards. Let's step back and look at what the wider medical consensus actually says today. A comprehensive 2022 Taylor and Francis umbrella review gives us a very objective look at both sides of the coin. The rewards of a vegan diet? Incredibly strong. They effectively reduce body weight, lower overall cancer incidence, improve glycemic control, and absolutely plummet bad cholesterol markers like LDL and ApoB. But there are proven risks. Strict vegans show lower bone density and have a much higher risk with bone fractures. And without some serious, careful planning, they face major deficiencies in vital nutrients like B12, zinc, iron, and vitamin D. So it's a powerful health tool, absolutely, but it requires mindful management. Now, the broader societal implications of all this data are just staggering. Dr. Campbell estimates that if our society fully adopted a properly managed whole food plant-based diet, we could see an 80 to 90% reduction in pharmaceutical use. Think about that. The immense financial and emotional burden of fighting chronic hospital battles would just plummet. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought. If eating the right whole foods can actually prevent up to 80% of chronic disease, is it time we completely rethink our approach to the medicine cabinet? Right now, we operate in a system of sick care, heavily relying on drugs to solve the consequences of poor nutrition. But the data clearly shows that the power to protect and promote our health might literally just be sitting right there on our dinner plates. It's a complex issue, and it certainly requires balance, but the potential is undeniably fascinating. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep investigating the science behind what you eat.